Andrew Brooks had exactly 11 minutes to reach the most important interview of his life, the one chance that could pull him out of 2 years of brutal poverty, a failed business, and a broken marriage. Walking into the luxurious lobby of Harper Global through the rain, he didn't expect to be stopped by anything other than the clock. Instead, he heard cruel laughter echoing off the marble. Behind the sleek reception desk, a smug employee named Bryce Feldman was mocking an elderly woman wearing a worn-out, decades-old coat and repaired shoes. She had simply asked for a glass of water. Bryce called her a situation rather than a guest, signaling security guard Dale Foster to drag her out of the building, while a lobby full of wealthy executives looked away and pretended not to notice. Andrew's conscience froze his feet. He knew every second counted toward his interview, and he knew he had only a few dollars left in his wallet to survive the week. But ignoring human dignity was a line he refused to cross. Andrew crossed the marble floor, bought a $4 bottle of water from the lobby cafe using his last bit of cash, and placed it into the old woman's hands. Looking Bryce straight in the eye, he said, "She's a paying customer now. You're going to apologize to her." True to the cruel nature of the building, Bryce and security refused. They called up to the upper floors, marked Andrew as unstable, and ensured he lost his interview before he could even step into the elevator. Andrew walked back out into the rain with a ruined folder, an empty wallet, and no future at Harper Global. Before leaving, he asked the elderly woman her name. She simply replied, "Evelyn." What Andrew didn't know was that the old woman in the worn coat wasn't a stray vagrant. She was Evelyn Harper, the mother of the company's current CEO, Claire Harper, and the widow of the company's founder. Evelyn routinely visited her own corporate lobbies disguised as a nobody because she believed a company only tells the truth to someone who cannot cost it anything. Deeply moved by how Andrew sacrificed his own career to defend her while the rest of the staff treated her like trash, Evelyn quietly had a trusted attorney investigate Andrew's background. What came back was a clean, tragic record of a man who had lost everything in a business crash, but had never cheated anyone or missed a debt payment. Meanwhile, CEO Claire Harper, realizing her staff had wrongly dismissed a man who defended her mother, tried to right the wrong by offering Andrew a high-level position. True to his unbreakable pride, Andrew turned the job down. He told Claire, "You're not hiring me, you're settling something. I've been broke for 2 years, Miss Harper. I haven't been for sale for any of them." Impressed by his fierce integrity, Claire eventually gave him a contract to fix a bleeding logistics network in the Midwest. Andrew successfully saved the company millions by looking at the details everyone else ignored. But his rapid rise made powerful enemies, particularly Marcus Feldman, who felt deeply threatened by an outsider exposing the systemic rot inside the tower. When Claire subsequently appointed Andrew to help handle a massive multi-billion-dollar acquisition, the corrupt insiders decided to strike. Marcus Feldman and his network executed a brilliant, vicious conspiracy. They used Bryce's access to re-encode a secret security badge under Andrew's name, granting unauthorized access to the executive archives. They planted fake data leaks and fabricated email trails to make it look like Andrew had sold vital company secrets to a rival bidder. To the board of directors, the evidence looked damning. Rather than letting Claire fight a losing political battle that could cost her the CEO position, Andrew resigned immediately to protect the company, carrying the blame in absolute silence. He walked out of the Harper Global Tower for the second time, escorted by security, right past Bryce Feldman's gloating smile. Andrew went right back to doing what he always did to survive, working night shifts unloading trucks and painting apartments. Months later, while working a lonely night shift, Andrew's brilliant analytical mind caught a glaring mathematical anomaly in the rival bidder's paperwork. The numbers proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the data leak had originated from the secure archives, a restricted database Andrew had never even had permission to open. Someone inside the executive committee had deliberately framed him. Andrew wrote down his findings on a single piece of paper and mailed it to the only address he had, the personal address Evelyn Harper had given him months earlier in a handwritten note. When Evelyn returned and read Andrew's note, absolute fury took over. She immediately hired an independent forensic examiner, Nora Whitfield, who answered to no one inside the corporation. Within days, the digital paper trail exposed the entire web of corruption. Security guard Dale Foster confessed to cloning the badge. Bryce Feldman was unmasked for abusing his reception desk privileges to set up the framing. Marcus Feldman was proven to be the mastermind behind the data cover-up, having accepted massive payouts tied to rival corporate bidders. On the day of the final board meeting, Evelyn Harper walked uninvited into the boardroom, flanked by her legal team, and slammed a data drive onto the table. She forced the board to watch the original security camera footage from the lobby showing Andrew selflessly defending an old woman while the rest of the executives laughed. Evelyn looked the entire board in the eye and delivered the ultimate truth: he spent his last few dollars on a stranger. And every one of you spent the last month calling that man a thief. It proves what he does when nothing is watching and there is nothing in it for him. That is the entire definition of character. The fallout was swift and total. Marcus Feldman was fired for cause and handed over to federal prosecutors alongside his co-conspirators. Bryce Feldman lost his job, his silver badge, and his career. Claire Harper walked 4 blocks through the rain to Andrew's modest bus stop, publicly admitting her failure and apologizing for letting him carry a burden he never deserved. A few weeks later, in front of thousands of employees in the atrium, Claire and Evelyn publicly cleared Andrew's name and exposed every corrupt actor by name. Rather than a temporary job, Evelyn offered Andrew the toughest, most vital role in the entire corporation, heading up a massive department to oversee and protect the tens of thousands of workers across all of Harper Global's supply chains, ensuring no working person would ever be mistreated or invisible again. Andrew built the new division from the ground up, staying true to the values that got him noticed in the first place. And in her office, Claire Harper kept a single, unopened bottle of water on her shelf, a permanent reminder of the greatest lesson of her life, that leadership without kindness is just arithmetic. And true character is measured entirely by how you treat someone who can do nothing for you in return. The true measure of wealth years passed, but the legacy of that rainy morning inside Harper Global never faded. The tower had changed. The cold, sterile marble floors no longer felt like a barrier separating the powerful from the powerless. Under Andrew's leadership, the supply chain and vendor divisions became the beating heart of the company, proving that treating workers with dignity wasn't just a moral choice, but the strongest foundation a business could ever build upon. Bryce and Marcus Feldman learned the hard way that arrogance has an expiration date, and that titles bought through favoritism cannot withstand the weight of absolute truth. Stripped of their prestige and facing the consequences of their greed, they became mere footnotes in the history of a company that finally learned how to clean house from the top down. As for Andrew and Claire, the distance that once separated them, the boardroom walls, the misunderstandings, and the heavy burdens of corporate survival dissolved completely. What started as an act of selfless courage in a hostile lobby blossomed into a profound, unshakable partnership, built not on status or power, but on mutual respect, fierce integrity, and a love that had weathered the worst life could throw at it. And sometimes, late in the evening when the tower grew quiet and the city lights twinkled far below, Claire would look over at the single, unopened bottle of water resting on her shelf. She would smile, knowing that the greatest fortune of her life wasn't measured in billions of dollars, but in the man who had walked in with nothing, and taught her what it truly means to be rich. And far beyond the gleaming glass and steel of the corporate tower, out on the bustling streets where the rain still occasionally fell on ordinary bus stops and modest neighborhoods, life went on at its own steady rhythm. Every now and then, someone would step up to a security desk or a reception counter, burdened by the heavy weight of a difficult day, perhaps looking small or overlooked in a world that always seemed to be in a rush. But the people inside Harper Global, from the executive suites down to the newest recruits, no longer looked away. The story of the man who spent his last few dollars on a stranger became more than just a legend whispered in the hallways. It became the living, breathing pulse of the entire company. It was a constant reminder that no matter how high you climb or how much power you hold, true greatness is never measured by the title on your badge or the zeros in your bank account. It is measured by what you do when no one is watching, when there is nothing to gain, and when the person standing in front of you can do absolutely nothing for you in return. And so, the legacy of that single quiet moment lived on, not etched into glass or stone, but woven into the daily choices of everyone who walked through those doors. Whenever the rain beat against the tall windows of the tower, reminding the city of the cold October morning that changed everything, it served as a gentle whisper. It reminded them that the hardest storms in life are never weathered alone, and that true strength is always found in the courage to remain kind when the world tries to teach you otherwise. Thank you so much for watching Solo Dad Stories. Remember, true character isn't shown when the world is watching, it's shown in the quietest moments, when we choose kindness over convenience. If this story touched your heart, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new journey. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on today's story. Until next time, take care of each other, stay strong, and keep believing in the power of a good heart.